you know that the question is very short, but the answer is at least 3 hours long.
So what?
It's
But
just
we,
so
but there
many
should be some
different.
kind of, instead of dealing with the drugs, how to prevent the drugs. Why are we raising children so weak?
Well, because they're
Because of
indoctrinating parents that
legalization,
fail.
yes.
Pardon me?
The
Parents
schools
that
are
fail.
indoctrinating
That's
them.
nothing. We have to face it.
Because it's
Parents, schools,
legalization.
So
teachers.
you have to face
You
it.
get marijuana every single
I know,
day.
but why
And now open shop, smoke
Kids
shops.
want those piece of
I know, but why do the children
You see,
need it?
everyone,
Why do
I'm
we
sorry,
need
what
to
is
go
your
to
name?
that?
What
My
is-
name is
Rudy.
Rudy.
Rudy, every one of us has a different answer, but within the same,
But we should be doing things to
within the same
prevent it.
frame.
Like,
Yes.
you were all, like my children, if you walk across, you walk down marijuana, whatever, they're not gonna go into a marijuana store and buy it. They're not gonna be, oh my God, I can't smell it or anything. They're strong enough, hopefully, I brought them up, that they're not gonna be frightened, that they're gonna be brainwashed into getting.
No, you're absolutely right.
One word.
And, we just, in,
Well, yes, culture, but we have to prevent it.
It's culture, but
If you don't change
it's not only culture.
you're always
But
gonna
my
have to.
children, we live in a culture, and I told my kids, not in my house, and don't tell anyone else.
Well, you
not
got
to do
lucky.
it.
It's probably,
No, I didn't get on
but
the-
it might be the topic for the next meeting.
I know.
Why we're so weak. But
It's always.
I think that,
It's not weakness in the kids. I have 6 kids, and I raised all of them. And I went in the streets and I carried a stick and I watched where my kids went and who they hung out with.
You better figure out how to take care of it.
Drug addiction does not just stem from weakness. Drug addiction is also part of self-medication, where the child has maybe an underlying mental issue that's being they're self-medicating
But
themselves.
why?
And to sit down, and your solution is to sit down and cry on the floor, is not the answer to the cure of drug addiction.
yes,
Drug
Patty,
addiction goes
But why
far
are
and deep.
children
Right,
taking
it's-
these drugs to become drug addicted?
Well,
They want to escape the
let me
reality.
just, if I'm allowed to
Let's
say
go to another
something.
question, because we keep
I
moving in
believe,
circles.
I believe that we have to continue to fight for it. And the only instrument, the only cannons that we have are our votes.
Or what?
Our votes. We have to vote.
Vote the
and-
politicians out.
And we have to vote out those who decided that marijuana is a very nice solution for this
Exactly.
society
No.
to get additional taxes. This is absolutely crazy.
It's insane.
Can you imagine what will happen if Zeldin becomes a governor?
That'd be great.
It was only 5%. What was it, 5%?
That was probably rigged anyway.
About 5%, yes.
5%. As an assemblyman, having a Republican governor, I would be able to do 3 times more for my community. And I would be able to tell you that, look, yes, we have a marijuana today, legalized marijuana, but tomorrow with this governor, we're not gonna have it. But that's the only way.
But we have to become strong, we have to stand up against this
Okay,
governor. We have
but
to teach our children
look,
to not to be so,
we going to talk many words to each other. We're speaking in the words, but there is only one instrument for us, really. It's our vote.
That's
We
the
have to
answer.
register.
That's the answer.
What
You
Glenn
gotta
said
vote.
right before I started
These are the
speaking.
horrible people that are causing this horror.
you're right, they are, they're planning
All
to
right,
keep
we already know the answer. So next question, we have another question? Another question from the audience?
Any other questions?
Anyone?
I'm also very grateful to Kari Katari. She's in my office, she works in my office together with me in Bay Ridge doing a great job. We're just trying to restore that office because I was told that I have to close that office because office wasn't utilized for 2 years. I was told by the assembly majority.
Because
That
it
was
was
it was not utilized for 2 years.
It was closed for 2 years.
They wanted to use it as an excuse for me not to have an office in there. But I said that now I have 2 people there. We're having people coming to us from all over Bay Ridge and Dyke Heights. Because now they know there are people in the office who would be listening to them and solving the issues.
Now, if anyone's interested in seeing Alec in his, with your swearing-in inauguration, that's February 26th, and that's going to be held at Lincoln High School at 3 p.m. So everyone's welcome to come.
Absolutely.
Okay, 3 p.m. February
Can you
26th.
disseminate this? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
gonna,
just
I will
for the
forward it
old
on the,
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll forward it on the thing.
Yeah. Based on that sheet.
Yeah,
And Alec?
Please come in. Yes.
Alec, we would like to listen what's going on in Assembly. What we New Yorkers supposed to wait now, and to which ones you are fighting against or fighting for.
It's just, I mean, you can go, I think it's channel 116, cable vision, something like that. You can go and see all the procedures.
The most
You're going
interesting.
to be amazed.
Understand?
Amazed. Because they, all right, so I'll answer your question later. Let me just invite you to some other event. On February 24th, you don't have it yet,
Okay.
because we just finalized it. We're having a big concert rally in support of Ukraine on big theater in Brighton Beach. If you want to come, please tell Glenn, I have tickets. It's going to be a beautiful event, And we're inviting people from Fort Hamilton. I hope commanding officer will be there, the military people, American military people, of course, and Vietnam veterans and Korean veterans. Carrie and I, we're working on inviting them in Bay Ridge. So it's going to be a beautiful patriotic event, not only for Ukraine, primarily for the United States of America. Because if you think about it, if those guys, God forbid, will lose, our boys, our grandkids will have to fight that guy Putin directly. It might happen.
Can I ask?
So just one second. So it's going to be a beautiful event. We're bringing a Ukrainian flag from the front lines. I'm having goosebumps now talking about it because that flag has been signed by Ukrainian military guys, and two of them, after they signed that flag, they lost their lives. So I'm inviting all of you. It's going to be a beautiful, patriotic United States
Where is it again?
Ukraine. It's a Millennium Theater, Master Theater. It's an old Ashiana movie theater in Brighton. That's what it is. Patrick, yes, I'm listening.
I have a.
I'm all for Ukraine.
He's an older.
I consider them the rebels who are against the establishment.
All right.
I need.
They have to resort to guerrilla warfare and everything.
You will see.
But I don't see the sense in writing out Zelensky blank checks. Am I still welcome to that meeting?
Yeah, of course, absolutely yes. And I'll tell you why. I think what you're saying, what you're supporting, is the best interest of President Zelensky. If they will show to the whole world, especially to us, to the United States, there is a transparency of what they're doing with our money.
And why can't we have Zelensky and Vladimir Putin sit down and have talks? Why can't we have that?
Right now, it's impossible because
How he can talk, he hide it underground.
they just, look, they took the ground, they took the land. If that would happen with Canada, I mean, it's hard to imagine, right? But, you know, if Canada would take a part of our land and then will ask us to sit down and negotiate, would we? It is very complicated. The world is very powerful, but
It's complicated, it's been complicated for centuries.
it's been complicated for centuries, but we were not living in during those centuries. We're living now. So I hear what you're saying, and I totally.
Is it sensible to be going against Vladimir Putin, who owns
No,
the biggest
no.
nuclear arm arms
Well,
stockade
Patrick,
in the wall?
I could argue that these generals already sold all those nukes, like they sold tanks. But it's not the point. The point,
It's got 20%
the point
of
about
uranium.
control is it's a proper point. I spoke to, with Nicole Miliatakis, I spoke to Mike Lawler, who's a good friend, who's now a new congressman, who's a member of Foreign Affairs Committee. And I'm advocating for the control, because I think it's in the best interest of Ukrainians to have this control, and to show to the whole world that they know what they're doing with those mines and with that military equipment. I totally agree with you on that. Even though I'm always saying that New York State Assembly obviously, has nothing to do with the foreign affairs, but I think what right is right.
If Putin was not there, the Russians would still react the same. NATO, its purpose for existence, went away when the Warsaw Pact was thrown away. The military-industrial complex needed NATO to sell arms.
Right.
So they needed to expand into Eastern Europe. If I'm a Russian and I see all these NATO bases surrounding me,
Right.
I'm going to react in a particular way, whether my name is Putin or Joe Schmo or Joseph Stalin or what have
I
you.
would rather have a Joe Schmo instead of Putin, but that's a difference.
Well, you could have had another Stalin, but that's another story.
That's, well,
But the thing is, we personalize things and we blame it all on Putin.
Right.
Do you
But
know
we
something?
started the whole mess.
NATO didn't
Right.
honor the Minsk
well,
Agreement.
What do you
here's the-
know
NATO
about
has no
Putin?
rationale for existence today. It's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was formed to oppose the
Right.
Soviet Union. And the Russians set up the Warsaw Pact to oppose NATO.
Right.
Except the Soviet Union no longer exists.
Right.
Russia, in 1900, do you know what the fastest growing economy in Europe was in 1900? It was Russia.
at the beginning of 1900,
Yeah.
before the 1917 revolution.
1917 revolution was financed by the Kaiser.
Right.
Germany.
And the
another
World War
story.
I
It's
was a war
absolutely
between
another
three
story.
Another
cousins.
story.
It's just
What
totally
about
another story.
Putin and Russia now?
You might sympathize with Putin, I'm not.
I'm not sympathizing.
Because I know what Soviet Union is about
Yes.
and what Russia is about
Yeah.
and what they're capable of
You're
doing
right.
to the whole world.
But Europe has been trying to get rid of Russia since the days of Napoleon
Right.
Bonaparte,
Right.
which is why he invaded Russia. They
Right.
wanted control over Poland and because it has to do with
So I think we can have a separate conversation.
No.
That historical conversation is very important.
Yeah.
But who's aggressor today?
Do we have any
Who's
more
aggressor
questions
today?
out there?
Well,
One more back there.
Both?
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay.
Both.
NATO
What do you know about Putin?
Very easy decision if you live in America.
Time out.
Militarily, but
Time out.
with
Go ahead.
Do you know how
against the
many
Minsk Agreement
opponents
and expanding
Putin
NATO.
killed?
Questions
His
in the back.
political opponents.
Questions in the back.
Wait, hold on. Wait, time out, everyone. We got a question in the front, right? And then in the back, okay? And then I'll be it. Go ahead.
If you still want to listen to the great soloist opera, looking at the great ballet dancers, please come. Just tell me.
Где можно билеты взять?
I won't be doing the belly dancing, but I can tell you, okay? Do we have one?
Next door.
Do we have any other, I think there's a question in the back? Go ahead.
This is a comment about the southern border, which I don't even know if I should be saying it.
Oh, why not?
It just came into my head. It's a very depressing thought, but for whatever reason, I need to get it out. And so I think all of us agree that we're working, the New World Order is working towards getting a permanent Democrat majority in this country, and that's why they're bringing all these illegals in.
Yes.
But I had this thought that Biden or whoever's allegedly in charge is going to offer them citizenship if they will join the military. And then our military, instead of being made up of patriotic Americans who join because they love America and want to support the Constitution, it will be made up basically of mercenaries who will be accountable to the president, and he'll have his own private army to do whatever he wants. And you know what that means for Republicans and conservatives. That was
Well, that's kind of how Rome fell in a way, you know, when they didn't have their own people.
Can I
in
have
their
your
army.
cell phone number?
So with that being said, if there's one more, I don't know.
It was a question about what's going on the floor, right? It was an idea, it was on the board. It was presented as the new amendment for the Constitution, another amendment for equality. I don't even remember all those letters anymore. LGBT,
Plus.
It's like a stock
Equality.
ticker.
My question to all of them is very simple. If they, ladies, forgive me for saying what I'm saying, if some man is wearing a woman's underwear as his outerwear and saying that he's a woman now, why that person needs me to approve that he's equal? He's done it already. You know, it's equality is in the Constitution. Why a politician supposed to tell him that he's equal to the others? I just don't understand. Honestly, I don't understand.
Because they know themselves it's a lie, and they want.
So you were
They all fake and, yeah,
So
fake
you
and
were
phony.
voting for this new bill or what?
We've been voting, of course, against this amendment to the Constitution. But again, you have 47 votes against it, and you have 90-something. You know, they not even. We have our leader who's speaking on the floor, and sometimes we're speaking too, in addition to what he's saying. And if you listen to him, it's always a common sense. Every time he's speaking, it's a common sense. It's just telling them the common sense, not even politics. But I see those people whom I've been sitting with years ago, they're not even listening to him. For two reasons. One, well, there are two groups of them. I think one group is just not agree with him, not agree with the common sense. Just not agree with the common sense, that's it. Marijuana is good, right? And the others, they're not listening to Andy Goodell, to our leader on the floor, because they're afraid that sometimes, some nights, they won't be able to sleep because of what they're doing now these days. Because they fake and phony. They just fake and phony. And they know it. That's what's happening on the assembly floor, on the Senate, the same thing. Same thing. And again, Zeldin as a governor wouldn't even sign this BS, forgive me. Wouldn't even sign it, that's all, you know. It would be going through the assembly, past the assembly, past the Senate, coming to Lee Zeldin, and Lee Zeldin would say, you know what, just keep it on the file. That's it.
Could they override his veto? What was the percentage of that?
We need 4 people in the Republican minority to have a veto.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it's going to be a different story. So 4 people
How
we
many
need.
Republicans you have in the Assembly?
We have 48 now.
48.
So you need 4 more to stop an override.
Yes, yeah.
They still have
Democrats?
supermajority.
They still have supermajority, and the only way to talk to them is through some legal case, because you have no chance. On the floor, wherever you're saying, they just ignore it.
You're fighting
Ignore
a
it.
tidal wave.
What is it?
You're fighting a tidal wave out there in the chamber.
Yeah, and again, we're very proud, because the common sense is definitely on our side. It's definitely on our side. Anything they talking about
That's
makes
the
no sense.
Right.
Whether they talking about tenants, listen, we either now tenants or we were tenants before we became landlords. But really, in this city, just to totally disregard the landlord rights, you're ruining this city. Or disregard the desires and needs and rights of small business people, you're ruining this city. And half of them know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They still, what is it? That's another big question. Are they just trying to stay in the office and keep their salaries? Most likely, because many of them wouldn't be able to do anything else in their lives.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Nothing. Nothing. Because I'm talking to some of them, they don't understand. They understand no business, they understand no not for profit, nothing. They don't understand how this